The VRChat development team is at it again with another development blog update for August the 3rd, 2022. This was actually published like at around 8 o'clock Pacific time. So we're going to dive into that. We're always going to go back to around July, where they first started the development update to compare some notes. We're always going to be talking about a comment on my channel on the previous update blog, talking about a potential idea that they're looking into, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But first, let's talk about this one for August the 3rd, 2022. And Tupper is the head of VRChat community, the VRChat head of community, and he says, "Hello, welcome to the latest VRChat developer update." And hello there to you, sir, too. I enjoy reading your articles. Let's talk about what we have on the board here. Here's what we're up to today. Starting today, we're experimenting with opening up these threads for comment with some limitations. Feel free to reply to this thread if you would like to provide feedback or input. If you want to provide feedback or input, I will be linking to you guys this development blog in the description below. And I'll also talk about my thoughts and tricks about this. And let's take a look. So here we go. We updated the live beta to 12.17 earlier. Here are the patch notes. And by the way, we will be testing out the beta. Don't you guys worry. If you guys remember, I actually was able to test out the live beta with Volts the Hedgehog, our buddy on VRChat. Make sure you guys check that out because it's the camera feature that we tested out for that one. And he actually has his own version from his point of view. So please make sure you guys check him out and get him to 500 subscribers, please. Alright, here we go. Changes since the last beta build. Change auto disable cloning to be off by default. Adjusted the auto disable cloning feature to disable the normal option in the settings in each world. Next, change name and UI a portal prompt feature. So portal prompt comes from the idea that when you go to the portal, there's going to be a prompt telling you if you guys want to go to portal, or the ask to portal feature that we talked about yesterday. So they changed it, the UI, the user interface. Next, adjustments and fixes to main menu movement. Talks about how you guys can now move the main menu, and we'll take a look at that hopefully in the next few days. Possibly tonight during the VRChat open lobby with Shadina. Next one, fixed since last beta build. They fixed an issue where the loading screen would be offset. So instead of in the middle, they go to the right, to the left, that's an offset. And they fixed it in a way. They fixed issues where the main menu movement handle will be enabled even though it's not officially on the board yet. Now let's take a look at some other stuff that they are planning to put on the board. And that is increase favorites. So they're going to increase the number of favorites you can play with. A surprisingly large amount of work had to go into this to ensure our UI handle the additional favorites without issue. And also to make sure that we don't bowl over our API with sporadic requests. So they're requesting a lot of favorites. Now currently it's 25 if you're non-VRChat Plus, or if you have VRChat Plus you can have to 100 with 3 additional groups of favorites in terms of those avatar, and for friends you can have a limit of a few. And let's take a look at the one from July 29. And as you can see, additional favorites has a number now, and the numbers are as follows. Non-VRC Plus is the VRChat Plus, by the way, is the subscription service which allows you to add more favorites. So here's the non-VRChat Plus favorites, additional favorites that they're looking at. For number of friends with ×3 list, is 150 favorites, so you multiply 150 by 3 and you get 450, and that is a 2.3 times increase. That's not bad. That's not bad. If you're looking into worlds, it's four lists, so 4 times 100, which is now 400, and that is a 1.56 times increase. And for those of you avatar lovers like myself, because I'm starting to learn how to play a lot of characters on this channel, including a new one I'm not going to reveal yet. One list times 50, so 1 times 50 is 50, and that means a 2 times increase, so originally at 25. For our VRChat Plus friends, we have friends and worlds are unchanged. However, if you are an avatar lover, get this. They're going to go for 6 times 50. So 6 lists times 50 is 300 favorites, or a 3 times increase originally at 100. So not only will we play a lot of characters, we're going to have some fun with that. So that was the original plan, but they had to of course see where it's going, and the task is currently in QA testing mode. So there's that. Next, let's talk about visual settings. If you recall, visual settings in quotation marks is a feature that allows you to adjust visual appearance of either the VRChat UI and the world, or just the world that you are in. We're finishing the UI design of this feature. It just needs to be connected to the rest of the system, which was finished last week. Once that's done, we'll probably need to do a little bit more tweaking to ensure that everything works as expected. Because of how much this feature visually changes, it will be likely a bit more into QA testing mode than some other stuff we've discussed lately. This task is currently in development. So because of that, you're going to have to wait just a little bit for visual settings. Copy and paste button. So originally, this is a feature that was not in VRChat. So this is for those of you who want to copy and paste text, like a YouTube link for our video worlds. So let's take a look at this. The task is nearly complete. Using the new paste button on the keyboard, you can paste whatever you want is in your clipboard into the text field that you have selected. Copy will copy whatever you have it selected. As an added bonus, when you select the text field in the world, the VRChat keyboard will appear along with the brand new paste and copy buttons. And let's have a look at this. So as you guys can see, we have the paste button on the board, and they're looking at a YouTube video in a video world. This could be very useful for those of you who watch movies inside a VRChat video world. Next one is a favorite of mine that I want to add to the content. Personal mirror. Personal mirror, which changes the way you move the mirror around the world. Instead of being able to grab the mirror at any time and our lock option in the action menu, we remove the lock option and replace it with move in quotation marks. When you select that option, the mirror will be stuck to your head. You'll be able to move it around. Additionally, when you push the right joystick forward, most likely quest will push the mirror away from you. Pushing the joystick back will bring the mirror closer, and pulling the trigger will lock the mirror in place. That is for our quest friends, most likely. Resizing the change similarity. When you resize the mirror, it works similarly with a plus button, and an action button action menu disappears. And when you push up or down on the joystick to make the mirror bigger or smaller, pull the trigger to lock the mirror. Okay, so if you guys like this good stuff, this is for you. The task is currently in continued design, iteration, and development. We expect to get these new additions into 2022.2.2 P3, which will come out soon after P2 goes live. Next is the viewpoint near clip. We had a challenge with this feature. There was a good call out by some of our engineers that in worlds with larger than default far clip, which is 1,000 meters is default, precision would be highly impacted by changing near clip to very small values, which are the values often users want to swap into order to make very small avatars work properly. That is for those of you who have very small avatars, very small very small friends. For example, if you guys heard of the thing called Test Pilots, Test Pilots has a 10 km kilometer far clip distance. This makes sense when you're moving along at Mach 4. But when you're changing the near clip to 0.1, then the depth perception drops like a rock. You get pretty strange artifacts as a result, like fog breaking, lights drawing past far clip, extreme steep flighting, and much more. So they give you an example of this with the near clip and world default. And if you guys want to read the rest of this again, I'm going to put it in the description. Okay. The task is currently in review, so make sure you guys take a look at that. Next, we have the camera. For our camera lovers out there, I use the camera, although I use screenshots. As mentioned last week, this streams will insert the camera output screenshots in the correct orientation based on the rotation of your camera, like your phone. In other words, your portrait mode photos will always be well portraits. The task is in review and will be merged soon. In addition, increase screenshot resolution. We want to effectively uncap the resolution setting you can choose for your camera. We also wanted to allow users to change the resolution in app instead of having to resort to editing a configuration file or config file. The second part is done. You can now change between resolutions within VRChat. We're currently iterating on some of the design and UI as well as investigating the resolutions we want to make available. The task is currently in development now. So they have added some stuff to it. We'll take a look at that as well. Next one is save directly to gallery desktop camera. We're looking at some additional camera improvements. We want to be able to save photos directly to their gallery, and some allow desktop users to use the photo camera. Both features going to be difficult to add in, and they're in development. Now here's the big boy. Here's an interesting one, because there's a little bit of programming involved with this one. Hide avatars by distance or limit number of zone avatars. This feature got a bit of technical work today, including some in-live streaming to ensure our shader properly instanced. If you guys remember this is the feature that allows you to hide an avatar by distance. So let's take a look at that. If you guys remember from the original, talk about this in a moment. From the original one, when you hide an avatar by distance, you're going to have a diamond. I believe it was in the August. Let's see. I would think it was August 2nd or July 29. I know they had a video. Here we go. So hide avatars by distance, and then back in, I believe, 28, they had like a quick video. Not sure if it still exists here, but they did have a here we go, avatar distance hiding. So this is what they were talking about in the new one. So this is like that, where they hide a diamond instead of an avatar if the distance is X meters away. So here, that's what they're talking about. We're also tweaking the language of the UI a bit to make it more clear. We also had an account for some udon features functions failing when avatars were hidden by the feature. For example, get bone transform if you guys program this stuff. Here's another video with the test in action. Now have a look at this. So as you can see, they're trying to tweak performance as well. They have a lot of diamonds if the avatars by distance, and then they have a lot of stuff here. The avatar did change, so they changed the avatar, and then it changed again, and then again. So when you're not in range, the avatar will not load, but when you are in range, the avatar will load when you set that slider. The task is currently in the development stage and is nearing completion. So we should be able to see this in action in a beta test soon. Now here we go. Here's where it gets interesting. Conversation Dome versus local player voice fall off slider. So I mentioned the idea where the conversation dome is like a big circle or sphere where when you're in the circle you talk. When you're out of the circle you don't talk, or they don't voice, you don't hear them. So here is what they have to say. After some internal discussion, we're going to stop working on the local player voice fallout slider and instead funnel our time in the effort of the conversation dome. To recap, the conversation dome is a sphere or dome around you with a customizable size. Anyone outside of the dome will have their voice turned down almost completely, allowing you to so-called focus in on the conversation near you. We've been designing UI elements for this feature as well as figuring out the details of how exactly it will work. This is this this is currently in the design stage. Here's what I'm thinking about this now. This is useful if you are doing a conversation within just a certain group. Here's where I get a little bit more interested though. What is the range of this, and will there be exceptions outside of that dome? Let's say you're playing like a script or a role play like we're about to with Emerald Hunters, and let's say that somebody outside of line or outside of the script accidentally gets in there. Then we'll see where this goes with that, okay? So role playing and scripting will be useful for this boy. Now we're going to talk about another accessibility feature called Speech Bubble. Now this is part of a stage where they talked about how they want to go into like help out our friends who need it. This was part of the right around. I know they started talking about it here. This is part of the text input to speech, voice output, all that good stuff. When they start talking about how they're trying to integrate something to help our friends who need closed captions, all that good stuff. So let's take a look at what they have to say for Speech Bubble. And they write, development continues on our implementation of the text-to-text or TTT speech bubbles. We've been doing some exploration of how we might hook up the OSC to the system, and have consulted with some communities and members who have built OSC to text systems for avatars. The one challenge we're facing is how to transmit text via OSC, as we only send the ASCII. Our initial implementation might be limited to the ASCII character set, but we've been having some ideas for working around this limitation. There are some other important social and safety considerations to be made, so further design things were scheduled to discuss them. And they're right. You have to be very careful with the safety and consideration and important social and safety, because you never know what the other people are going to write and type into that speech bubble. Here's where I'm thinking this is going to be useful for though. Besides our friends who need closed captioning and speech bubble, I really think this is useful for another type of content that is going to be useful in VRChat, and I'm thinking it's gonna be comic dubs or like comics or like stuff like that. Because you can instantly make a comic inside of VRChat with speech bubbles. And speech bubbles are part of comics, right? So you can start doing some comics inside of VRChat with speech bubbles if this is done correctly. This is done when it's done when it's implemented correctly. So that's another thing that can happen. But in terms of VRChat updates, it is more of those who need help with talking or communication. So that's what this is usually for speech bubble. I'm not going to go into this CPU for affinity thing. That's for our technical friends out there. So I'm going to skip this because of that. Let's see what else we have on the board, because I do want to go over a few more things they um they actually added, and I want to go into that right now. I believe it was in August, the second one, when they updated the whole thing, like like from out of nowhere. Let's see if this was correct, because they actually had a section where it's not in play yet. I believe it was in the July 29 update. And here we go. Here we go. So we talked about the paste button, and there was this speech bubble here. They talked about it here. I know there was one where they talked about the particle limiter, and this is when they first talked about it. Right here. Right here is the particle limiter toggle, but I did not get to talk about this during the yesterday's video because I didn't get to see this part yet. So let's talk about it. This feature simply allows you to turn on and off the particle limit system. For those of you with flashy avatars, this is going to affect you a bit. This was just added in a quick menu. Turn on and off. It will reload avatars when you do so, to apply the limiter. There's some weird interaction with the coexisting config.json file. So that is where it gets interesting. So you might have to put some numbers in. So if you plan on toggling this on and off, please remove the particle system limiter entry from the betas array in config.json as shown in the document. If you have no idea what this means, don't worry, you probably don't have it on. The custom limits you can set in this file are still respected, so if you wanted to have a config with the default values for the tweaking, it would look like this. So basically, if you know how to program this, that is for you. So let's take a look at what we have on the board here. So you can see that we have numbers. So I'm going to try to give you my take on what this means, okay? Because I haven't dived deep into the number. So let's have a look at this. PS, everything starts with PS and then underscore and then a argument. Now in the CS world, argument is like what's in there. Then we have particle system immersions, total immersion, particle divider, poly limit or polygon limit is what they would like. Penalty high, penalty mid, and penalty low, and penalty. So the numbers by default by particles is 50,000. So that would be max of 50,000 particles. Systems in terms of that is 200. Emission is 500. How much can it emit? Total emission is going to be 40,000 in terms of max. The particle divider is 60. The poly limit or polygon limit by particle is 50,000. Now, when the penalty is high, I'm thinking that they're going with collision here. As you can see, the argument is collision. When it goes high, what is the penalty of going higher than the limit? It's 50. If it's medium, it's 30, and when it's low, it's going to be 10. And its trials or trails here, whatever the word is going to be, is 10. So you have to be very careful if you're going with the configuration route with config.json, because unless you know exactly what you're doing with the numbers here, I highly suggest for you to turn it off unless you absolutely know what you're doing with the JSON file. So I want to reiterate that. So you have to remove a few things. You have to remove one thing: the particle system limiter entry from the betas array in the config.json file. Let's actually see that file in action. I'm not gonna put numbers in. I'm just gonna show you guys what it actually looks like. So to access that, what you want to do, I'm gonna show you guys how to access your JSON file. So I'm not going to actually put numbers in. I'm just going to show you how to access the number, the actual file. So all you have to go is to your Steam. All you have to do is your Steam number, not number, but account. When you log into your Steam, like what I'm about to do right now, I'm not going to show you everything because, you know, password is about to be entered. But you know my point. So when Steam is loaded, I'm going to show you guys how to get to your JSON file, config.json. Go ahead, let's take a look at this. So right here is my Steam client. So what you want to do is go to your VRChat here, right click and go to properties. Yes, properties. And what you want to click on at this point is local files. You want to click on local file and you want to go to browse. When you click on browse, I'm going to show you my file explorer. Here we go. No. File explorer. I know it's a little small, but you're going to go to your config.json file. So it should be in. Let me just make sure I'm putting the right one here. Let me just make sure. I believe it's in resources. No. So you're looking for config.json, or you can go to search this one here. Config. Let's see. Dot JSON. Oh wait, I think it's that one. Config. So right here, I'm gonna right click this and I'm going to go to Here we go. So it's under here. VRChat data IL2 CPP data etc. mono, and then you're gonna see config. This is the one you want. We're going to open with Notepad++. I have Notepad++. Let me show you guys what they have. This is a config file. Now I really suggest you not to do this unless you absolutely know what is on the board here. This is very, 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 very important. Unless you absolutely know what you're doing here, do not use this, the particle limiter. In terms of like the technical stuff, I don't want you to mess up. Okay, don't do this unless you absolutely know what you're doing here, because this is a lot of data based in VRChat. Okay, and there's more configuration files to go. So let's go back to our article. No, not that. Go back to our article and let's get into that. Let's go back into it. I believe it is. Close this. Let's redo that. Here we go. Now unless you absolutely know what you're doing, you should not be able to do. You should not be doing that. There is a known issue if you have a limiter enabled in config.json that limits your own app local avatar. This is unintentional. Your own local avatar should always be unlimited from your point of view. This UI version does not have the issue. You just have to remove the entry from the betas array. So again, you have to remove it from the beta array from the config.json file. So I know there's a lot of technical stuff there, but you have to understand that in order to understand how to use the particle limiter. Okay, now in my experience with the beta with particle limiter, I haven't seen a difference yet. This is most likely because we have not seen flashy animation at this point, but that doesn't mean that we won't in VRChat open lobbies. Okay, so make sure you guys understand that part. Also, they just updated the user notes. If you guys remember user notes, they updated this feature. This was supposed to be a thing inside of VRChat, but they said web only for now. So instead of going inside of VRChat for this, you can actually do this right away. Okay. So the feature was already live on the VRChat home website. It lets you set notes on users so you can note down where you met them, something to remember, something to tell them, etc. This task was recent Jam project and was in progress already, so we accelerated the web implementation. It's website only to start, so you can store up to 2,000 separate notes with 256 characters in each note. This will be added into VRChat application in main menu 2.0, which is going to be the big boy update, most likely. So let's take a look at that actually. Oops. Before I do that, let me go back to the article and then let's actually because I'm gonna keep this up just in case I wanna talk about another feature because there's a few features that were just updated in this particular blog. If we go here, I'm going to mute my. I'm gonna hide my screen a bit. But when we do this, when we go log in to your profile online, so you're gonna see this when you log in, right? So this is the website on the board here. So what we need to do, let's go to friends here. Let me see if we can actually write a note here. I'm going to, here we go. As you can see, our boy, Bolts the Hedgehog. We can now add a note here, and we can say something like first met in VRChat on July the 13th, 2021. Something like that. And that would be my note. That would be my note right here. Alright? So that's my note. Now will it save? So let's see. Let's see if it actually saved. Yes. As you can see, the note saved. First met in VRChat on July 13, 2021, and then I'm going to add um Emerald Hunter in Emerald Hunter. I believe he's playing Emerald Hunter. He's playing a few characters actually. Emerald Hunter Sonic and Villain, and playing as Dr. Eggman in Emerald Hunters. If you are not aware, I just gave you a spoiler because I was not supposed to do this, but I wanted to present the note application. So he's playing as the Dr. Eggman in our upcoming VRChat series, Sonic and Shadow Emerald Hunters. He's also playing Sonic in Emerald Hunters. So he's playing both sides. But for this note application, that's what we're going to stick with. Okay? So let's just put that on the board. So that is basically the user notes. Web for now, is as they say. What else did they add? Gesture indicator. I don't think this was talked about yet. This is a feature where you can turn on a HUD element that shows current gesture in use on your controllers. That is for our Quest users. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at this. Again, this will also be linked in the description. The notes part will not be linked because that is my account. As you can see there, I'm gonna go back a bit. As you can see there, the gestures are there, and as you can see, the right hand is open, the left hand is a closed fist. So this is very useful for a few things. Number one, actually this is useful for one thing: sign language, ASL, or other sign language variants. Because we can now see what they're saying in sign language. Now when you do this and this, you can see where they can go with the sign language application of this gesture. So I like this. That is for our Quest users only though, and it makes sense. So if you are thinking of, like, let's say, you know how I can see this happening, how can you see this used? You can use this in a class, not, well, kind of like a class. Here's how I'm thinking though. Let's say that you have a live stream as a Quest user, of course, and you enable the the gesture indicator. Let's say you have a class of students who need to learn sign language. Then you say, hi there, my name is this, but you do it in sign language form with the gesture indicator feature. That's where I can see this useful, the gesture indicator. That is what I'm thinking of when it comes to gesture indicator. Okay, the only reason why I say that is because it helps you out if you do sign language, or you want to learn sign language, or you want to teach sign language. That's what I'm thinking of for gesture indicator. Other than we're not going to be sure if it's going to be implemented on avatars though. That's where it gets that's where it gets tricky in that aspect. And I believe that is it in terms of this one, folks. Let me just make sure I'm not missing a thing here. No, because all this is the same thing. So, and by the way, there's going to be another update blog tomorrow or later tonight in my time zone of 8 o'clock. So look out for another video soon. And they say, that's it for today. We're hoping to get a live release out this week, as well as another live beta for the next patch of 2022.2.2 P3. We'll see how this goes. See you tomorrow. And by tomorrow, they mean to say 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, 8:30 my time tonight. So yeah, you never know. If I don't stream tonight, guys, that's why I'm covering this. I'm literally we're gonna record a video at night, 8:30. If they come up with something, if I decide to cancel our stream tonight. But that's it, folks. That's all, folks, for this development update in terms of the blog. I do, however, want to go into a comment by our friend here who commented on the VRChat Developer Update 2 video I put out last night. And this is by Wolfie Wolf. 12 hours ago, he said, been confirmed that NSFW or not safe for content is next in their sites. I think I think it is just corporate finally putting their foot down and forcing the devs to do this to make their game kid and advertiser friendly. Even so, the devs are so completely disconnected from their fans and or those who make their content. Just kind of funny, because even a few of the devs have the use of NSFW avatars. So NSFW stands for Not Safe for Work, and this is talking about those avatars that are not safe for a working environment. Now, I actually agree in terms of the NSFW portion here, because corporate is trying to put their foot down here to force the devs to make the game kid friendly or advertiser friendly. Let's just say for one day that VRChat is going to make money, right? And I don't ever see. I think there's a reason why you never ever see VRChat TV commercial, because of this part right here. NSFW content is next in their sites, and he's right. That's why you don't see VRChat commercial on TV. And then, but he's also right on this. The devs are so completely disconnected from their fans and people who make their content, and that relates to the mods that were taken away from the recent EAC update. It is correct. Now, I replied with the following. I agree with the kid-friendly part and the fact that the devs are super disconnected as well. And I talk about the updates that we're talking about to this video. So I agree. I'm going to agree with him because, yeah, first of all, they're super disconnected. Like, how long did it take for them to go to the open beta? 5 years. Yeah, 5 years. 5 years for an open beta. Hello? I mean, no, yeah. 5 years for an open beta. That is too long. And they've been in development since 5 years ago, 2017. Okay? So you're talking about 5 years of time where they didn't do anything but bug fixes and this and that. All of a sudden, here we go. All of a sudden, from out of nowhere, EAC comes out. And then they have to add stuff again. I I wouldn't mind the EAC update if they did that way later. Add the stuff that we want, add the stuff that we want, and then take away malicious mods. Don't start like I wouldn't mind the EAC update if they did that. But what they chose to do is EAC first and then add all the stuff that we wanted with the mods. That's I think where they messed up. Okay? That's I think where they messed up. But that's just my take on everything here. I hope you guys enjoyed what you heard today because there's gonna be more tomorrow. Or should I say later tonight at 9 o'clock. This evening my time. So you never know, late night video, I do these all the time. I edit videos for you guys for VRChat highlights. So yeah, don't maybe expect something tonight. We'll see what happens with this blog update. But that's just my take on the whole thing. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of these new updates. What's your favorite feature to be added to the next beta? And don't worry, myself, I will be covering the beta. I've already covered the camera angles. We'll see what I'm able to do as a PC player. But that's my take on it. Make sure you guys leave a comment below. Tell me what was your favorite feature that they added. Also, if you are to get technical, make sure you guys check out the particle limiter. Looks pretty cool. And we'll see you guys in our VRChat open lobby tonight at 5:15 for the Happy Shadina part 2 of the takeover. That is tonight's main stream of the day. That's the main stream of the day. The actual thumbnail looks like this. I'm gonna show you guys a little preview of tonight's stream. It is gonna be it's a new thing here. So that's the new thumbnail for you guys for tonight. I'm excited to stream for you guys on VRChat. So we'll see you guys at tonight at 5:15 for the second day of the VR for the Happy Shadina takeover. We'll see you guys soon, y'all.